Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and this is going to be a short video about my YouTube Wrapped, because I haven't used Spotify for the past 6 months actually, so my Spotify Wrapped will be really skewed towards the beginning of the year, because I decided to limit my amount of subscriptions. Yeah, this was from the YouTube Music, and I had to download that app, and then I took some screenshots and then I left it at that. So I didn't know that you could get YouTube Wrapped until last year, I think I looked it up. But it only looks at the music and the podcasts that you listen to. It does not look at other kinds of videos. It gives you your music character, and I'm the superhero. I soar across the musical landscape, exploring diverse music far and wide. I guess that checks out. And then my top artists are Aurora. No surprise there. Aurora is kind of like my role model, my muse, my inspiration for everything. Then we've got Flirence and the Machine, also queen, you know. Really love Flirence and the Machine and her music. And her music always manages to get me happy and gives me energy for the day and such. Then we've got Halsey, because she came out with a new album. And I've been listening to Ego a lot on repeat. I find it such a nice blast of energy. Then we've got Justice, which are the French band. It's kind of like Daft Punk, but they came at the same time, I think, as Daft Punk. They're kind of electronic music. Justice is a little bit more into the sounds, and I think that Daft Punk was a little bit more into the melody. But that's because I've been really listening to DVNO and other songs by Justice. It's the same songs I listen to. They came out with a song called Never Ender, with a beautiful music video with animation, which I really enjoy. And then we've got Paris Paloma, and Paris Paloma I know mostly from her song Labor, which is a feminist song that is really, you feel the anger deep in the song. I really recommend people checking it out. It's really good, and the music video is also good. It's indie, alternative, pop, rock, whatever. But it's a little bit similar to Aurora and Flirence and the Machine. Also similar influences and things that I've also watched and listened to is Mothica, but she didn't make the list. And Paris Paloma came out with a new album this year, so that makes sense of why she's in the top artists. And I like Warmth as well by Paris Paloma. And then we've got the top tracks, and this is where it gets interesting. Okay, because this is YouTube and not Spotify, so when you go on Spotify, you're there to listen to a song. Well, there can be other reasons for going and listening to a song on YouTube. So my first track is by Chris Fleming, Christopher Fleming. He's a comedian and a comic. Yeah, he does comedy. and his comedy is kind of in the absurd. And he made a song in the style of Sufjan Stevens called Nailclippers, and it always makes me laugh. And I had it on repeat for a while. And I think like I'm the biggest fan of that song that there is on the planet for some reason. Like, and he talks about how he has to borrow his brother's nail clippers, and he sings like, "I'm shocked at such product variation," and then he uses the nail clipper, and it feels like terribly violent. So he goes, "Scared and innocent," and he says, "I thought it was a horse bite. I thought that was a horse bite, scared and innocent." And it really does sound like a Sufjan Stevens song, even though it's not. And I just find it very funny. And then we got, so my second top track is DVNO, radio edit by Justice. And it's just a really catchy song. It's DVNO, 4 capital letters. Covered in gold, and the music video is just sublime. It's like taking different logos, but just having all the logos say DVNO, basically. And I don't know really what it's trying to say, but it's a little bit like, you know, critiquing capitalism, I guess, with like the logos and the stuff. And it's just really well made, and the sounds, it just sounds great. And then we get to Ivy Slolop, Occitan Provençal medieval song, which is the one that I have actually danced to. And yeah, I just love the sound of it. And yeah, I probably listened to it a bit too much back when I was doing the dancing. And it's, I really like it. Then we've got Ego by Halsey, which I've also been listening to on repeat. She says, well, this one is like kind of punk rock, like the 90s, early 2000s kind of vibe. It's like, I should kill my ego, because if I don't, my ego might kill me. Yeah, so I find it to be just happy. It makes me happy, and it kind of releases pent-up energy and stress. And then we get a very interesting one called Jean Petit, which is because as I was searching for Ivy Slolop, I got into a lot of Faria Faraj, I think his name is, and a lot of medieval recreators online. They recreate songs from the past. And Jean Petit is actually not a great song. It's very catchy though, and it's about a guy who gets killed and quartered. And he gets to be killed in a gruesome way. But it was a song that I learned as a kid. Okay, I didn't know that it was a terrible song like that. But it is about a guy who has to go through the supplice de la roue. So basically he gets tied to a wheel, and each of his limbs is like battered one at a time. And in French preschool, we had that song to teach us the different body parts, which I had no idea that this was what the song was about. Jean Petit was a real guy, and he went against the king, and so therefore he was charged of treason, and so. But so it was like a little song for children, and yeah, apparently it wasn't actually. It was a medieval song about a guy who got gruesomely killed. So, executed. So that is that song. And then my total listening time to music was 1,591 minutes. I don't know what that tells me. That's not a lot, actually. compared to like my previous time on Spotify. I don't know, I haven't been listening to music much. And then we've got the podcasts. And so in the podcasts, I have Growing Up in Polygamy, which is my number one, which is a podcast by a couple, and one of them was ex-FLDS, so the Mormon polygamist sect run by Warren Jeffs, who is now in prison, and his wife, this person has left the FLDS, and his wife, who has left the Mormon church. And they got married in the Mormon temple and such, but then they left the religion together. And they do interviews, and so apparently I have listened this year to 36 hours of Growing Up in Polygamy, which, yeah, that's a lot. Then we get Internet Analysis by Tiffany Ferg. She makes very long videos, so I think that's why she's my number two. Then we've got all the Diary of a CEO episodes. And I don't actually watch or listen to a lot of that. However, I listened to the interview he did with Trevor Noah, which was 2 or 3 hours long or something. So that's why he gets there. I don't know who gets called to be a podcaster on YouTube. I don't know if you get to choose to be a podcaster. Anyway, this is a question that I'll ask number 4 on this list, which is older INFPA insights. So D from older INFP insights, how did you get yourself registered as a podcaster on YouTube? Is there something that you had to check, like a box that you had to check, or how did you end up on this list? Because yeah, I don't know if this counts as a podcast or if this is YouTube videos. I would say that I'm kind of like podcast in a way. And then the 5th is Jordan and McKay reaction. So Jordan and McKay are 2 ex-Mormons, also a Mormon couple. They make very long videos. I don't find them as entertaining as Growing Up in Polygamy. But they do deep dives, and I like having them in the background. Yeah, that's my podcasts. So there we go. We have done the music and the podcasts. Tell me what you guys think. Do you have YouTube Wrapped, or maybe a Spotify Wrapped? Tell me what you guys think. Have a great day. Bye.